August 23rd, 2023's Stopping the Violence. We're happy to say that we've been doing this for several weeks, and it's been quite edifying, enlightening, and also very insightful of how there are various factions out there that has been dealing with what we had started with, stopping the violence in America. One of the things that we had started with which is plaguing the American society, is gun violence. And then we start looking at, well, let's look at, yes, gun violence is a very integral part of violent behaviors. However, there are root causes to violence, and let's look at those root causes. There are posts and services that are out there. They're out there to help with violence that had occurred, and there's prevention programs. And we have had law enforcement on. We've had religious leaders, advocates, community leaders, all sorts of wonderful persons and organizations and political leaders come on and share how they have been addressing this issue with violence in America. We have another special guest that I'm happy to present to you. And we're saying a man of many hats weighs in on the violent issue. As we have titled, Life Has Taught Him a Lot. Let me introduce him by reading a little bit about who he is. As a lifelong resident of Powell County, Magistrate Brian McKinney graduated from Powell County High School in Eastern Kentucky University. His goal as a magistrate is to make Powell County the best it can be, a place where children can have opportunities to be successful. In 2019, he retired from his 29-year career as a teacher, athletic director, coach. However, he continued to be involved in his community as a first responder with Powell County Search and Rescue and local fire department. He works part-time for Powell County Emergency Medical Services and Clark County Fire Department. With each of these responsibilities, he has seen firsthand some of the issues that Powell County faces. He is addressing the drug crisis today of the county, what the county faces, and continues to improve the communities that he is serving. His goal is not to be a politician, but more than ever, he thinks it's time to bring in new blood, progressive thinkers, and most importantly, progressive actions while holding true to Powell County's roots. Our thoughts should not be just for today, but tomorrow, our children, what our children will face in the future. It's really a powerful statement. Without any further ado, we want to ask Magistrate McKinney to share with us his hopes and strength and avenues that he has been using and working with and working through in dealing with the violence in America and in his community. Welcome.
Thank you, Reverend Oliver, and each person that's joining us today. Like you said, I guess I do wear many hats in our small community. Come from a community of 13,000 people in Eastern Kentucky, the heart of Appalachia. And, with such a small county, it does take people doing many different jobs to get things done in this area. So I do still help the school system. I'm still a firefighter, search and rescue, EMS, help with physical courts. I do a lot of stuff, I guess. Our population of our county is only 13,000 people. And most of our people in the county, they have to travel outside the county to work. We do have a large tourist population in Powell County. We have the Red River Gorge, which is considered the Grand Canyon of the East, if you will, except I think it's a lot prettier because we do have trees and grass and things like that, but we do have a large tourist population. But in my different roles that I've seen the impact that drug abuse has had in our county. And my wife works for the court system with the Commonwealth Attorney. And nearly every every case that she helps to prosecute involves drugs. She had to work a murder case last week. The root cause of the murder was drugs. We do robberies, assaults. Everything goes back to drugs. And our county was actually the second highest percentage of overdoses of any county in Kentucky last year. So we're a small county, but we do have a big drug population. But within the last 2 years, we've initiated some new programs that has saw the number of overdose deaths in our community reduced by half. So I'll go over some of those programs and what we've done and what I've seen. Working EMS and going out to people's houses. Some days when I do work EMS, half of my calls involve drug overdoses or drug abuse. I've been there with families on their worst days when a mother or father has witnessed, their child passing away. I've been there when, accidents have happened due to drinking and driving. I've been there, so I see what the drugs have caused in our community, and it just breaks your heart to go through this day after day. So it's very important that our county does do things to help fix this problem. One of the things we do, I've mentioned earlier, was our SPARK program. That is a special people advocating for recovery in Kentucky. And it's basically a group of people that have gotten together, that it's a nonprofit organization that will take care of these drug overdoses. We got a QRT team, which is quick response team. When we have an overdose in our county now, we have counselors that will get in their car and go to the scene just like an EMT or a paramedic would. So they are there with the family when an overdose happens, and they can counsel the family. They can counsel the kids of the victims. They can help people out, because it's been proven that if you have quick response to these emergencies with drug abuse, then the family are more readily available to accept help from that. So, we are trying to fund a QRT team that can have quick response to these drug overdoses. In Kentucky, we are also very successful with Casey's Law. I don't know if you're familiar with what Casey's Law is, but that is where if we have somebody that is on drugs, a family member, a friend, or someone on their behalf can petition the court system and have them taken into a treatment center. It's not always what they want, but they're not in their right mind, so that, they kind of have to go on with what the court says. So I think the Casey's Law has been proven successful in our county as well. That's a good program that we have. As magistrate, we handle the county's money, and we just got a large settlement we got about $1.6 million of opioid settlement. And this money comes from a larger $26 billion settlement that the United States had against these pharmaceutical companies that manufactured Oxycontin and some of these highly addictive drugs. And so we're taking that money and creating programs to help the community. We actually have a committee together now. The committee consists of our health department, our school systems, our police department, our jail, the SPARK program, like I mentioned earlier, and the physical court. It's bringing all these players at the same table to discuss the problem and talk about what we can do to help fix it. And with this money, we're starting programs that can target the children of the abuse, people, drug abusers. So we have programs at school, because a lot of times these children don't have a good role model at home. So we can help them have somebody in their life that can be a good role model and help them out that way. We have the local DARE program. DARE has been around for 40 years. It's all over the United States, but a DARE program is drug abuse and resistance education. And the kids all take a pledge. I promise not to do drugs, avoid violence, be responsible, and make responsible choices. So that program is something we're still continuing in our county to help with children. It's basically helping them stay off drugs before they ever get started. So that's one thing we're doing there too. I reached out to our jailer before this, our local county jailer before this Zoom meeting, and I asked him for some programs that they do that work with their violent offenders, their drug abuse people, and things like that. And this is what he sent me. So I'm going to read off part of this. He talks about our county is small, but we do have a regional jail. So we actually have more inmates in our jail than a lot of the other counties around us. They're there for all kinds of different reasons. But some of the programs they have is a SAP program. SAP is Substance Abuse Program. And I'll read what he says. He says, it's been an incredible force for combating addiction and the lifestyles that come with it. Residents in the program are taught how to live a life outside of addiction, to cope with stresses of life, to better adapt to the world outside the walls in a healthy way. Of all these programs geared towards fighting substance abuse, but the takeaway from them is beneficial to all aspects of an individual's life and changing destructive behavior practices. So we have several substance abuse program counselors inside the jail that work each day with these inmates. And like I said earlier, in our county, if you look at all the violent crimes, they all go back to drug abuse. So we're trying to help the drug abuse program, therefore helping the violence program that we see. He mentions the GED program they have there. Most of the inmates they have do not have high school diplomas. And said, according to the FBI, violent crime statistics, from the FBI violent crime statistics and the U.S. Census Bureau have, as recently as 2022, illustrated a clear and undeniable correlation between criminal behavior and educational level. For many that they interact with at the jail, educational opportunities have been challenging or simply unavailable to them due to various reasons in their past. Seeing the need to make a change, we are expanding and aggressively promoting our GED program to give people a shot at bettering themselves while they are incarcerated. Even beyond just a humanitarian aspect, the average cost of educating a child in our country is over $12,500 a year. And the average incarceration cost is twice that. And then they mentioned trades. They begin introducing new skilled trade programs for those in their facilities who are eager to learn what type of skills they need for entering the job market. He says, thankfully, with the help of the Kentucky Department of Education and Morehead State University, our skilled trade program will soon be grown into a partnership with a local community college, allowing more in-depth training while also granting our residents an opportunity to earn credits towards certifications or even college degrees. And he also said, above all, that the humanization of our prisoners is going to have more of a positive impact than any other program that they have. It says, realizing that people who find themselves in the criminal justice system are people, and treating them as people first and inmates as second is such a significant part of how we try to move things forward. When you view yourself less of a supervisor of a bunch of criminals and more of a facilitator for change in a person's life, your entire perspective changes, which allows for real opportunities to make a difference. He says they do have some real bad people in jail, but for the most part, all their inmates are willing to receive help and try to better themselves. And that's really about all I have. I just want to mention several programs we have. Like I said, from the EMS side, we do have the SPARK program, which is counseling. We have the QRT team, which is a quick response team that responds to overdoses and drug situations in our county. The school system, we have the DARE program to keep kids off drugs before they start. We also have the advocate program after school for mentors to show the kids, be there for them when they have needs and show them the right way to do things. The jail program has got the GED program, they have the SAP program, and they have the skills trades they're trying to teach to the kids. As far as the county goes, like I said, we do have the committee between the health department, the jail, our police department, the EMS, the school system, and the SPARK program, where everybody sits down at the same table and discusses the issues that our county faces and works together to solve these problems. So that's what I have.
Magistrate McKinney for that presentation, and you did a great job. Thank you for mapping out those different programs from prevention and post programs that are helping out. And it's true, drugs play a really critical role in the perpetuation of violence in America. One of the things that I really appreciate, and I want to open up for discussion, I've always appreciated that one statement from the jailer. He said very succinctly that there's some success, and most of that success was that there are certain percentages of criminals that are in those facilities that are incorrigible. And that is a small amount compared to the larger percentage who are willing to find change. And the change that can come is only from those people who are there to reach out to them as they have not ever been reached out before. So these were those programs. And he said that he stop looking at them as criminals, but looking at them as targeting them change, because in essence, they are changeable. And because of the extenuating circumstances that we have learned through many of the speakers have come here, that many of people are victims of certain environments that has caused them to go in a direction maybe they really didn't want to, but just by virtue of peer pressure, by virtue of the environment they're in. But if we have certain programs set forth for them, you realize that you can bring the best out of them. And I think that's part of that particular success story. So I want to thank you for that, sharing the avenues that you have been taking in the county that you are serving. Anyone like to share, open up, or ask any question? Nadia, did you want to share something?
Well, I just love that we're hearing from a lot of these programs that people are working together. So many aspects of the society are getting together, so they're all contributing to the solution to the problem. I think unity is, community has unity in it. So that helps. And then I'm glad to hear that DARE is still around. I mean, I even knew that when I was a kid, and that's been ages ago. And then your quick response team, I really, really like that. I haven't heard so much about that before. So I was really happy to hear about that. And I think that I was talking with my son who's 26 the other day, and he said, poverty is has a big contribution to people being angry and committing crimes. And your Sparks, I think you called it Sparks counseling, and then your GED, and not necessarily the Sparks, but the GED and the trades programs that you have to teach them different trades so they don't have to be out there being thugs to make their money, and bully people and stuff like that. Do you agree with me that poverty is a big contributor to causing that kind of situation? Or
Absolutely. One of the things we have in the county also is that when somebody does get out of jail, and even if they've acquired a skill while in jail, we don't have any type of mass transit or transportation to get these people to a place where they can get a job. In our county, we got fast food, we got just local minimum wage type jobs, not a job that they can actually earn a living at. But in the surrounding counties around us, we do have factories, we do have construction work. We've got a lot of work where these people can make a good living, but we do not have the resources to get them to the job. They don't have the resources to get them to the job. So, we are looking at avenues like having our local church groups commit to 1 day a week, where on Monday morning, one church group will pick up some people wanting to and drive them to their job in the next county over. Then another church group will pick them up that evening and bring them back. That way, each church only has one trip per week to make, but that's getting these people out to their jobs. And like I said, if they don't have a decent job, they just make a minimum wage and they tend to go back to their old habits, I guess you could say. So, that's one thing we're trying to do to keep that from happening. But definitely the lack of economic opportunity in our area, being in Appalachia, is a real problem that we face every day.
Anyone else would like to have some thoughts or some questions to ask the magistrate? McKinney?
We've got
Open.
Dr. Madeline on with us. If she
Yeah, and Bill Kemper and
Bill?
Joe.
Bill Stoner.
Have any questions, Bill?
Yes, I'd like to ask about other possible causes for violence. From what I've seen, when there are mass shootings in high schools, sometimes it's because the youngsters are not really old enough to be mature enough to be able to use a gun, but through either parents or maybe their friends or neighbors or somebody, they have access to guns. And then when a situation comes up where somebody confronts them, or if there's a confrontation in which it turns into more than just words, then if there's guns available, sometimes they're misused. So I'm just wondering, do you also notice other situations in addition to drug misuse that that there can be violence, such as domestic problems in the home, distractions or temptations from friends or other associates, the misuse or the too many guns, I guess, basically, that are not purchased and are not registered. I guess illegal guns would be the better way of saying it. So do you notice any of those situations?
No, we have a very, very low gun crime rate down here. We may have maybe 4 or 5 murders per year in our county, and gun violence is not really a serious issue where we're at. We are a large hunting county. Like most men do go out and hunt in the woods, and we do have pretty strong gun safety courses in school. We do that. But to answer your question is no, gun violence is not really a major issue where we're at right now. So, I remember when I was in high school, the boys had gun racks in their trucks and would come back, carrying rifles and shotguns in the back windshield of the truck they drove to school. But we don't. It's just not really an issue in Powell County.
So what about the influence of cartels? Does that cause the influx of excessive drug use?
Once again, no. We're, I really can't answer it from my point of view. Maybe the police department can answer better, but no, we don't really see drug cartels or gangs, or we're so small that it's just not really anything where we're at. We don't see any of that type of stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
Magistrate McKinney, I had a special session on stand your ground laws. You were sharing, you were saying that people are out there and they go out and they are hunting, and you were going to high school and they have, rifle racks. And so it's almost like people are aware that you just can't go in and attack unarmed people. You have a license to do that because these people have guns to shoot back, So anyway, I thought about that, maybe that has curtailed a little bit people.
Yeah, it's possible. But I've never shot a gun in my life, and that makes me stand out in the crowd. And my other friends, I can't believe that I've never shot a gun in my life. But now I don't want to shoot a gun just so I can tell everybody I've never shot a gun in my life, and they can't believe it. And it's just, so definitely a lot of guns down here, but just not the gun violence.
Madam Dr. Alexander, welcome.
Thank you and greetings to everyone. I clearly hear him stating that they have a gun culture. However, they use it in a positive way. So I hear him clearly speaking to the community in which he's involved in. I thank you and I appreciate the work that you're doing. My question is, I hear you talk about being an EMS. When you're out in the community and you're seeing these drug overdoses and you're seeing parents that have lost their children, and you might go out to a car accident and you're seeing mangled bodies. My question to you is, what are you doing for self-care? You're really involved. You wear many hats, but what do you do for self-care?
We're very fortunate. We do have a pastor that counsels every department I'm a part of. I'm a part of the search and rescue team. Like I said, we have the Red River Gorge, which is kind of like the Grand Canyon. So we have a lot of people that fall off cliffs and die each year, and rock climbing accidents and things of that nature. But we had a car wreck 2 days ago, head-on collision, car totally engulfed, and the female, she passed away. She burned up inside her car, and that was tough on us. And we did have counselors come in and review, and one person had to go home for the rest of the day. He couldn't work the rest of the day. But between the management of the EMS and the preachers we have lined up to help us out, we've always got grief counselors coming in for EMS, especially with EMS. When a child passes away, we have babies that die. That's when it's really, really tough on us, and we do have a support system in place for that.
Great. My other question to you, I'm familiar with the QRT team only because I worked in the prison system, so I know what that's like. But what do your bags consist of with your QRT team? Like, what do they carry out into the community with them?
The QR team, they have to be certified to be on the QR team. They're all certified counselors. And they have, I guess, mostly dealing with counseling. They got counseling for the children. Like, when you come in and see your parents taken away from you, where do you go? What do you do? And so they take care of that. They've got, they try to have on each QRT team a first responder, such as a firefighter, a police officer, an EMT. These are people that are off duty. They're not getting paid to be on our QRT team. It's a volunteer team, and they basically just listen for the county radio. They hear something go out, and the QR team assembles and goes to that person's house and just does what needs to be done, really. And we also just put forth funding to expand that program to hire more counselors they're certified to help with this situation. So we're trying to expand that program, actually buy more vehicles and train more counselors for that.
Wonderful. I love hearing solutions. And this will be maybe be my last question, but how available is Narcan in your area?
Very available. Our health department gives it out for free. The Spark program gives it out for free. We actually, had just a community event and gave it out for free. So we see Narcan is readily available. almost anywhere. And, we do have training on that, but a problem you run into that you don't think about is we've had situations where children administered Narcan to their parents. But what happens is if you administer Narcan and they wake up too quick, a lot of times they will become violent because you've just messed up their buzz. You just messed up what they're going through and they come up violent. So we've had situations where children have Narcan their parents to get them back, and then the parents become violent towards the children. And so, as EMS, we're trained to give the minimum amount and wait for a reaction, wait to see what happens. And then if it's not working the way we want it to, we can administer more. But, in some situations, even like your neighbors and stuff, if they handle things the wrong way, it can become a violent scene. So even though Narcan's available and it saves so many lives, especially in our community, there are some drawbacks with the lack of education for Narcan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your service.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Narcan, it's a call. It's above my head. So could you explain to maybe the audience that really don't understand what that is?
Narcan is another type of drug. When somebody overdoses on narcotics, it's a nasal spray that we actually can spray up the nose. And what it does, it actually blocks the opioids, and the person that's on the drugs will lose their buzz. Basically just their buzz is gone. And so if we have somebody that's not breathing in respiratory distress, we can give them Narcan, and sometimes within 5 minutes, they're sitting up talking to you and perfectly normal because it has blocked all the opioids in their system where they cannot have an effect on the body. Narcan does not last forever, though. So if somebody is unresponsive and we use Narcan and we can get them back to breathing and talking, then 15 minutes later, they may go out and possibly have almost a second overdose. So that's why we always have to highly recommend they go to the hospital, with us so they can get additional care. But, it has saved countless lives just by being able to block the opioids in the system.
Yeah, my other question to you in reference to the overdose, what's the percentage of those that you can revive and those who are fatal that are victims of overdose?
That's pretty tough. It's a very, very high percentage that can be saved. But I can tell you one case I worked is actually somebody that I knew personally. And this boy had been on drugs most of his life. And he had finally gotten off drugs. He was able to pass a drug test and he got a job. And so he worked for a couple weeks and got his first paycheck. With his first paycheck, he went out and bought more drugs. He came home to his parents' house inside their bathroom and went back and did the same amount of drugs he did before he got clean. Well, his body could not handle that amount of drugs anymore, where he had, dried up and gotten off drugs, so his body couldn't handle it. And so he overdosed. The family called us in, and we got there and we administered Narcan and done everything we could do. We could not bring him back. But his mother looked at me and said, I just thought you all would give him Narcan and he would come back like he always does. Narcan does not always work. It depends on the timing, the amount of the drugs and that kind of nature. But I will say that we are talking probably in our county, 90% effective rate. We went from being having the second highest percentage of overdose deaths in the state of Kentucky. We've cut that number in half over the last 2 years. So, we're doing good work. And part of that is having Narcan available to the community.
Anyone else have any questions? Someone is coming on and thinking, you did mention home role models. Which particular program deals with that home role models for our youth and the prevention?
That's a program we've not started yet. That's a program that we're taking the opioid settlement money that we got, and we're taking that money to start a mentoring program for these kids after school. So we don't have that started yet. That's just what we are going to do. And that's coming from the committee between the health department, the police, jail, the court systems, and everybody involved in the community. That's what they wanted to see done. They wanted to have the children of these drug addicts, have them a counselor, so to speak, somebody they can relate to that will help them out. Yeah.
Well, anyone else like to share anything or any questions that we have from the magistrate?
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's now that we've gotten into it, because your problem is a little bit different from other things that we've discussed before.
Yeah.
But a lot of times mental illness is involved. Now, I don't know if drug addicts are considered, or people that end up ODing and stuff. Are they? It's not because of mental illness. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't really know.
Sometimes it's correlated. Yeah, the mental health aspect is big. It's not necessarily the same as drugs, but our jailer discussed that when I talked to him. He's talking about how inside the jail you got the people that abuse drugs, but you also got the mentally ill, and it's very important even for them to treat them like they're human. They're not just some body there that's a burden to society or whatever. And getting them the treatment they need, getting them the help they need, that's something they really focus on. And separating, sometimes people have mental issues that they can't work. Well, when you don't work, then you don't have money. Then it's just a path that they go down right back into the drug abuse. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of tied in together, but it's definitely not always the same.
I have a question as well. With these particular programs that you shared with us, what is the recidivism rate?
I don't have that information, to be honest. With my wife working in the court system, we get a lot of repeat offenders. You see the same people over and over and over again. But really, I don't have the numbers, the data to answer that question.
Okay, but you are seeing some great results with those programs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, every program we see has had great results, but I couldn't really give you a number. But even the substance abuse program that we started, that's expanding, and just by the number of inmates that's wanting to take the program, that is a program that inmates have to volunteer for. Whereas in the past, the numbers not many people volunteer for, but now, there's a waiting list almost to get into that program at our local jail because it's been so successful. And once they get into the substance abuse program, then they're eligible to come out for community help. Like we have inmates that go to our local dog or animal shelter every day. They help take care of the dogs and cats that we have. We have inmates out weed eating beside the parkway and interstates to help the visibility of people getting off the exits. We have community food banks. We have inmates passing out food to the community. We have inmates every day working at the transfer station, helping with our recycling program. So once they are in the substance abuse program, when they come out, they have lots of opportunities to also volunteer in the community, and help us out in many ways. We have natural disasters in our county, tornadoes or flooding. The inmates are there to help us out. We've actually had a search and rescue where we had a person that fell over a cliff and passed away. It was during the day. We didn't have enough help to help, get the body out of the woods. So we actually had inmates go into the woods and help us remove the body and bring it back. So, there's a lot of positive aspects to these programs, not just, I don't know what the numbers are, but, I see the good things that's coming out of them.
Yeah. The floor is open.
Sorry, Things keep coming to my mind. Sorry, I'm not showing my face. I'm doing tech here, so I can't do
Yeah.
both. So in Minnesota, they just legalized pot. Do you have any thoughts on that kind of things going on in different states? And do you have any like personal experience or really gut feelings about that kind of, that kind of thing moving forward across the country?
Yeah, it's still not been legalized in Kentucky, so I don't have that much experience with it. I do have friends that are cancer victims, and I know they have used the medical marijuana and has been a great benefit to them. So I've definitely seen the benefits of the medical marijuana just through friends and some colleagues I used to work with. So, but we don't have it here, so I don't really have, any real knowledge about that.
Okay. As a magistrate, would you be opposed to that kind of thing? Do you think it is a gateway drug? And maybe I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I would say no, but my wife would say absolutely yes. So we kind of are opposite on this spectrum, but no, I don't really think it's a gateway drug. It can be, but I think people are born with addictive personalities, and if you have that addictive personality, then yeah, it can definitely be a gateway drug. But for the most part, I don't think that's true. But like I said, my wife is sitting beside me right now. She would probably start some violence and and totally disagree with what I just said. So
Thank you for being candid about it.
yeah.
Anyone else? Bryce, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just thank you very much. What you're doing is great. I just wondering, as a small town, do you have hospitals, and what kind of medical facilities are available?
We do not have a hospital. We've got three medical clinics, and we've got a nursing home. But anytime we have an EMS call, we have to drive them to the next county. So, for EMS, we usually have typically longer ride times than other places. It's usually about a 25 to 30-minute drive to the closest hospital.
Wow. And does that take you out of your service, out of service? Is that a problem?
Oh yeah, that's a problem. We've only got, most days we got 2 ambulances serving the entire county. So if we have one ambulance leave the county and then another one gets called out, then we have no ambulances. I give you a case, and it's not just Powell County, but the last shift I worked, another county beside us, they also only had 2 ambulances, and they had a lady that had an allergic reaction, went into anaphylactic shock. Her body shut down on her. She stopped breathing. She passed out. Her lips were blue. There were no available ambulances in her county. They called us. We drove to her house, which took us 1 hour to get to her house. We got there, and her vitals were terrible. She was not going to make it too much longer, but we were able to get her some breathing treatments, administer the medicine that she needed, and we still had to drive her 30 minutes to get to the hospital. So altogether, I think she said that she was in shock for about 3 hours, and she had 9 children. She fosters children. She was there at home by herself. The children couldn't help. She took Benadryl. She took a breathing treatment. She took an epi shot. She did everything she could for herself, but it wasn't enough. There was no ambulances available to her. So, not having ambulances available is a problem in Eastern Kentucky for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we do try to help each other out best we can.
Yeah, mutual aid. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Some emergency areas where they know that the person can't make 30 minutes, and maybe we can get them there. Service, or it's just you have to wait to get served. 2 clinics. My question is, are those 2 clinics equipped to try to help as much as they possibly can until you can get to a larger facility?
Well, they try, they can, yeah, they're very limited on equipment and personnel. So, they, we had one overdose that went to a local health clinic, and they didn't really understand how to give Narcan, So we have trained them since then. But I mean, we got great people, don't get me wrong, but sometimes some of the trainings for emergency situations is not where it should be, I guess. So
because of the small town, some of the things that you share with us, it was an advantage, getting people help. But there's also some cons to that too, being small as well. But there's some pros, are really wonderful pros. There was like quick response and all those other things that are there to go out, because if you were sharing these traumas that people are going through, and then you have the ministers, you have those people come out immediately and try to handle people who are going through some experiences, that's not always available readily, probably in a larger city like Washington and New York. But your city, and you're a small county, that's readily available. But now, like I said, there's like a pros and some cons to that as well. Anybody else would like to share anything? Oh, Dr. Madeline.
Yes, I have another question, because the drugs seem to be your Achilles heel. Do you have at least one treatment center or a treatment center close by?
we have some, I don't know if you call them halfway houses or some like we have some places for them to go. We got 2 places I know of in our county that, you can go to get help, long-term treatment, centers. They're probably small, maybe 10 to 20 beds each. So they're not large facilities, but, we do have a couple places that people can go if they want some drug treatment. Most of it is out of the county, though. Most of it's other places.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Son Willow was asking a question.
So
Thank you, Magistrate Brian McKinney. Thank you for coming today. I have one question. You was over 30 years, almost 30 years a school teacher.
Yes.
And I want to know, school, teachers or principal, they facing a lot of children's, problem, and then parents cannot teach at home. But when they come to school, they have a lot of problem in the school. So how they can handle and how much they have expected the state government can help the school system, education, character education, or offer U.S. government also. What kind of they thinking? Heading to more education, proper education for school children, students. So I want to know they have some kind of discussion about that. They need more character education, more moral education. So I want to know do you have any issues that had?
I taught in a middle school for all my years, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So in the middle school, drug problem wasn't as bad as what you would find in high schools. We didn't see it as bad, but obviously we had situations where, we did have drug problems out of students, but most of the problems were more or less due to people that the students knew. Their older brothers, sisters on drugs, their parents are on drugs. So we really focused on trying to get them not to do drugs, give them options before they ever started. So we really worked on the prevention part of it, and we didn't have to deal with so much of the once you're on drugs, get them off drugs, things like that. That wasn't the problem we dealt with. We dealt with how to, keep them from getting on drugs in the first place. And we did have the DARE program. We had health education on drugs. We did a lot of the programs, I guess, that's common throughout the United States.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're almost coming to a close. I'd like to ask anyone else if they'd like to share a point or either ask another question. The floor is open. No one likes to share. Let me see. But anyway, I want to thank you for coming.
I'll ask one more question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I just wonder, is there things like self-help groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or, Narcotics Anonymous, that kind of thing there?
Yes, the Spark program that I just discussed, they have Alcoholics Anonymous and Drug Anonymous, and they have meetings every night for different groups. There's several different groups they target, but there are meetings every night available.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, very powerful groups. Yeah. Key factor for me is I've learned through this whole process is you mentioned prevention and then also after the fact, post situations that you have to deal with. But the key factor that I felt is that a large percentage of people really don't want to be where they are. But as we have learned in categories of individuals, community, and demographics, contributes to, stemming or to the root cause of some of their violent behaviors, or even leading them to drugs. One of the things that you said a few minutes ago that, to me, it breaks my heart when the mother or the father was on drugs, the brother and sisters on drugs. So the kid, is in an environment that just does not work in his benefit. So he or she will probably follow the same route and maybe not really wanting to, but that's what the environment dictates to them. So I like the approach where we can stop looking at them just as drug addicts or criminals, but look at them as just victims or extenuating circumstances, and how we can go in and how they heal that or bring the best out of these individuals because we provide the program. So I'm really excited about the role model program that's so essential and imperative for young people. As we are in our close, do you have any last words that you would like to share with us?
Well, I just want to say that, how proud I am of where I'm from. Even though we are small, we don't have a lot of the stuff. I still love where I am. And I've been to every state, been to 15 countries, and I wouldn't live anywhere else besides where I live right now. So it's given me a great life. And I don't want you all thinking like everybody in Powell County is on drugs. Drugs has affected every family in Powell County, but, we got a lot of good people. We got a lot of good things. And if you ever want some outdoor adventure, hiking, camping, kayaking, anything like that, rock climbing, just come to Powell County and you'll see how great and how beautiful of an area that we live in. It's, I've been all around the world, and it's still the most beautiful place in the world to me. It's just the majestic how the mountains are and the cliff lines and all the stuff we have. So I'm very proud of where I'm from, and I think we do have a lot of good programs. We got issues, but hopefully we are trying to fix those issues.
Thank you very much, Joe. The mountains are very beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful areas, as you said, in the United States and probably on a worldwide level. We want to thank you again for your service and leaving one service, which was a school teacher, and going in directly into another service, helping the greater community. But actually, as a teacher, you were helping the greater community by investing in the youth who are the future and who make up the future of our communities. So we want to thank you so much for your service and those people who are working with you and all the programs that you're embarking upon, and those that will come into fruition. And we'd like to have you back, especially with the the 1 point some million that you got and how that money has translated into some excellent projects that we want to speak about more as prevention than post. So thank you so much. I want to again congratulate you on the service that you have rendered throughout your lifetime in your beautiful small town in the county of Powell County.
Thank you, Reverend Oliver, and thank you everybody for joining in.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. As usual.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McKinney.
God bless. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
We see you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you.
Rabbi Weiss, thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's good to see you all. Thanks. Thanks.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Oh, Rabbi. Okay.
Yes, do you know that the magistrate that the Brian McKinney that the county has the most beautiful Korean memorial park there.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And then and a lot of people coming to that county from Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Tennessee, everywhere. The people coming there rock climbing and also it's a beautiful.
Beautiful area.
Yes, so many natural bridges there. It's a beautiful county. Please come and visit. Yes.
Son Willett, Miss Willett for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. God bless everyone. Thank you again for coming.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Thank
Take care.
Shalom.
Bye bye, Brian McKinney. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.